Hey everyone, and welcome back to Practically Zero Waste, a podcast for making zero waste living as practical as possible. Does the word minimalism bring up visions of white-walled interiors, stark, cold, austere, and severe? Well, hold up, let's start again. Today I chatted with the Minimalist Mom about minimizing the clutter so we can focus on what's actually important. Ready to find space for what matters? Let's get to it.
Very impressed that you are doing this with a newborn / 3-month-old. I'm like, oh my God.
Thank you.
That is like, wow, I'm impressed. I could barely function.
It feels like I can barely function, but, it's also nice to have something creative to do at the same time. So
Yeah, I totally get that.
Trying to keep it up. Cool. Let's do this. What is minimalism and what is your minimalist philosophy?
Gosh, I feel like that is such a broad question. And I think that everyone wears minimalism differently.
Yeah.
For me, I think it's just like focusing on what's important and only keeping things that I find value in or that bring me joy.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's not about just who owns the least, and it's more about why are you keeping that?
Yes.
Or why is that in your life? Just being a little bit more open to questioning yourself, I think.
I love that. And I think that a lot of people look at minimalism as a stark and cold existence where you are austere and severe and don't have a lot of things. Why do you think people think that?
I don't know. I mean, that's just a word. It's just like everyone can make assumptions based on one word. But for me, it's just a broad term, basically, that you're aware of what you own and what you purchase, and it allowed me to become a more conscious consumer. It allowed me to bring more simplicity to my life and get back to what's important. It's not all about having a clean home, because believe me, with 2 little kids, you can walk into my home at times and you're wouldn't believe that a minimalist lives here, because they pull everything out. But it's more about just really owning things that you value and not going out and doing what everyone else does just because everyone else does it,
Yeah. And so what everyone else does, I'm assuming it's just kind of buying when you're bored, buying when you're lonely, buying when you think, oh, just in case I might need this. What else might fall into that category?
Well, I mean, so for me, I have not always considered myself a minimalist or anything by that means. I grew up, I loved shopping, I loved hunting for a deal. It used to be my favorite thing to do.
Yeah.
And then I had kids, and I was so overwhelmed, and I felt like I didn't have a lot of time, and I was just always stressed. And for me, now moving more as a simplistic life, it has brought me so much joy. I feel so much more centered. And I less distracted, more present.
That's wonderful. That feels so refreshing just to hear you talk about it.
It has had a lot of positive impacts on my own life and on my ability to be a better mom.
So when you became minimalist or started to declutter and really think about everything that you owned, you said that was already after you had children?
Yeah. I remember this vividly. This was 2 years ago. So I'm by no means a veteran. It was coming home from my son's 3rd birthday, and I had just had my daughter was 6 months old, and we had all of these presents. We are so lucky to have so many friends and family who want to show their love and appreciation to my son by giving him presents. But I came home and I had this trunk full of presents, and I felt like our house was, and we live in a large home. I just felt like it was. I felt suffocated. I'm I don't know where to put all this stuff. I feel like I'm always stressed. I'm always picking up. There's stuff everywhere. I can't even think straight. What do I do with all these toys that we don't even need, that he's just going to dump out and throw on the floor and I'm going to pick up? It was just this moment that I reached this limit. And I'm I can't do this. I don't know what to do. So I started with his toys, and I had remembered that my friend, months previously, it's funny how little things stick in your mind.
Yeah.
But I was at our house, and she opened her storage closet, and it just looked really neat and tidy. And I was oh wow, that looks great. I'm impressed. And she was oh yeah, I just read Marie Kondo's book. And I was oh okay. And I kind of just filed that in the back of my brain. And so when I started to declutter my kids' toys, I was oh my gosh, I should look into that book that my friend mentioned, because
Right. Yeah.
yeah. And so I started to I listened to the book on audio,
Me too.
and I followed
Because
her
you have
steps.
children and you're like, how do I, yeah, that's how I
Yeah.
read that book too.
Yeah. And I just started to follow her steps to a T on how to declutter. But even then she uses the phrase discard it, and it just didn't sit well with me even then. Like, and I wasn't on the low waste, zero waste train at that point. And I just didn't sit well. So I'm like, I'm just going to replace that with, I'm going to let go of these items. So I started to, donate them or rehome them or sell them. And once I finished her book, I moved on to other books on minimalism, and it just kind of was like a snowball effect from there. But
well, like, what's the sensation like to begin decluttering and minimizing? Where does that come from?
Well, for me, it was like I felt this like energetic buzzing. I was like, once you are confronted with the amount of things that you own, at least for me, I was like, oh my gosh,
I know.
I cannot believe that I have purchased all of these, that we own all of these. Like, there is no way I could ever wear all the clothes in my closet. There is no way my kids could ever play with all of these toys. Like,
I know.
whoa.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, yes, it's like you're confronted with your consumerism.
Whoa.
Like, you're confronted with your purchases, and you're just like, oh, wow, I need to change something. This isn't right. This doesn't feel good.
So, okay, so you started to let go of things and transition to minimalism. How was it with your family? Like, that was just your sensation and your perspective on life. What was your family? How did they take it?
I have a wonderful husband who's super supportive, and I feel like he's a minimalist at heart. Like, he doesn't like to shop. He only owns what he needs, and that's just the way he is. So he was just like, yeah, sure, whatever you want. Oh, I like it. It looks neater in here. He was just really supportive. And then my kids, well, my daughter was a baby, and she wasn't crawling yet, and my son was in preschool 2 days a week, and he was little. I mean, he was 3. So he didn't really notice. What he did notice was when he would come home and, like, it would be clear, and he'd see some toys he hadn't seen in a while, and I noticed, like, he started to play a lot better, a lot more independently. He was more engaged. Like, he stopped dumping everything on the ground.
Wow.
It was just like, oh, I'm going to play with my trains now.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like I had any kickback from my immediate family. They were all either oblivious or supportive.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
And
it was a good time to do it because, like I said, I could only do it when I wasn't around my preschooler, and like the baby wasn't really active yet, so I was able to like declutter, and I would do it in chunks.
Yeah. So your son, you think maybe that he had this sort of sense of being overwhelmed by stuff too? When kids dump toys, is it because there's so much before them that it's hard to decide what to play with, so they just have to kind of dump things and sort through it? If they have so many things in front of them, they maybe don't know where to begin, but if they have just one toy.
Absolutely. So I used to be, I still am trained. I'm a speech language pathologist. I've taken a break since having kids. And I realized this back in the day. I just didn't implement it in my own life as a mom, that the fewer things I would bring into a therapy session, or the fewer things that the kids would have access to, my patients would have access to, the more productive a session would be. They were able to focus more. They weren't like all over the place trying to grab everything and not being engaged with me as a speech pathologist. So it was like, I knew this in the back of my head, but then being a mom, you're like, people give you gifts, you feel like you need to keep it, they have birthdays, they have Christmas, all this stuff. It's like I forgot what I knew.
Oh, I got chills when you said that. Yeah,
yeah,
when they have
and so
much.
There's actually like a study, the University of Toledo in Ohio, where they observed 36 toddlers by inviting them to play in a room for 30 minutes with 4 toys or 16 toys. And they found that the children were more creative when they had less toys, and they also played with each toy for 2 times as long. So basically, they suggested that more toys may create more distraction.
Yeah, there's just
so it's like scientifically proven that like less is more with kids,
It's amazing how often a child will gravitate towards the same toy over and over again, even if they are in a room full of lots. Recognizing which ones that they're more drawn to helps declutter too, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And like the ones that my kids really play with the most are the open-ended toys. Like we got Legos secondhand, and they love those. Magnet tiles, like as a gift. Wooden blocks. My daughter plays with her baby doll and like pretends to cook for her with dishes, you know, her own dishes in the kitchen. And I would say ones where they can use their imagination have been ones that have had staying power in our own home. But the ones that they get that are like, it's like themed from a TV show or something, they last like a month and they get bored. Yeah. Because it's like they can't play with them in a different way. It's their play is very fixed, you know, instead of open-ended and creative.
Wouldn't you say that's the same for adults and owning possessions that are multifunctional because they're more open-ended? You can use them for longer and for more things?
Yeah. Do you have an example?
So you could pick an area of your home. Say you're in the kitchen. You would have utensils and appliances that are not just for one specific use. Like, I can only do one thing with this appliance. Help me out here. What's an appliance that only does one thing?
Well, like I have a Vitamix and I hate using a food processor.
Yeah.
It's I use my Vitamix to make hummus. I use it to make smoothies. I use it to make pancake batter. Like
multifunctional.
It's multifunctional and it's easy.
And,
yeah, absolutely.
And then in a wardrobe or something, if you have, not that everyone has to have a more neutral wardrobe, but if you have a single t-shirt that works with so many different outfits versus that one very special shirt that you can only wear in a certain situation in a certain season, that's not going to get as much use, and the t-shirt that's just able to go with lots of different things is going to get more use.
Absolutely. I mean, that's why these days I live in like gray t-shirts and jeans, or I have like a favorite black dress. Like, I mean, I like to look nice. I'll throw my red heels on and a pretty necklace with my black dress, but it's my favorite black dress. I've had it for years. It fits me great. It is durable, and like that's what I want in my closet. I don't want the thing that comes from some fast fashion store that I wash once and it falls apart, or it's like a print that suddenly is quote unquote out of style. Like I want things that I know, that I love, that fit great.
Timeless.
That are timeless.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's awesome. And the same could be said for children's toys. The same could be said for different things that you have in, kitchen. You know what I mean?
Like we have white dishes, and I mean, you could have all kinds of color dishes if that's your thing, but I feel like our white dishes, like we can use them for a really elegant dinner, or we can use them for our nightly family dinners, or for breakfast. Like they're just our dishes. I don't need really fancy, like printed ones that I use on this occasion and these on this occasion. For me, the less I have, the more simple it is, the less I have to worry about it. Like, less I have to waste my energy, my mental energy thinking about it. There's so many other things I'd rather be thinking about than, oh my gosh, what do I use now? What of the many things that I own do I use? Like, I'd rather just not have to think about it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And then you don't have to dig through all the clutter. You don't have to dump out the big bucket of toys to find the one thing that you're looking for, because anything might do. You could use that utensil, you could use that appliance for so many different things, and you don't have to push past everything else to find it.
Exactly. It's time saving. To own less, you have less to maintain. Ooh. Less to organize, less to clean.
Yeah. If I may quote my father here, he always has said that the more you have to look after. And so I think he's going to get a chuckle when I put this podcast up and quote him in that. But for real.
Yeah, I mean, your dad is really wise. Like, as soon as you realize that more doesn't mean more means more obligation. I want less. Like, I don't need more, whatever, 3 vacation homes. Like, then you have to maintain all those different spaces. All those people who collect cars, like, they have to maintain all of them. Like, that's so much time and energy. Now, on the flip side, if that really brings you joy and that's your passion, I think that that's something else that we're talking about,
Yeah. But if it's just stuff, and if it was sitting in a storage locker for 2 years and you wouldn't remember what's in that storage locker, it's a sign you don't need it.
If you don't know that you own it, you don't need to own it.
I'm just sitting in this one room in my house and thinking, how much stuff in this house, or in this room even, do I not know that I own? Ooh.
Yeah. Yeah, and I found that. So when I was decluttering, I was like, oh my gosh, I've had this XYZ like forever. Like, why am I holding on to this? Like, I had textbooks from undergrad. I'm like,
Yep. Just got rid of those
First
this
of all,
year.
everything is online. Second of all, I'm never going to open this. Like, why?
Never, ever.
Why am I holding on to this? It's just taking up space and collecting dust.
So how do you get rid of the things that are in your home for that just in case moment, or the what if someday moment? How do you get rid of those things? Like craft supplies, things like that. You're just kind of like, oh, I can't throw this out. I'm going to save it for...
I think the thing to think about is, and this is like a broad generalization, but what is the worst case scenario? What is the worst thing that could happen if you got rid of that?
Yeah.
9 times out of 10, it really isn't that bad.
Yeah.
And so if you are keeping something just in case, odds are you can probably let go of it. Mm-hmm. You know, unless it's like just in case that like you have like an emergency supply kit. Okay, well that's
like your fire extinguisher. You can keep your fire extinguisher because that's a just in case
exactly.
thing.
But if it's a Halloween costume that you wore 6 years ago and you're holding on to it just in case one of your kids will wear it when they're older, you're like, okay, no, I mean, we'll donate that. Maybe someone will wear that this Halloween.
I had heard someone say that they use Craigslist or Kijiji as their storage locker. So when they're done with it, they sell it. And if they need something like that again, then they look on the secondhand site to buy a new one.
Yeah, and I love that you put the secondhand in there because it was once, I mean, I'm moving on to zero waste, but it was once I connected minimalism and then the low waste movement that it all made sense to me because of minimalism. Like if you're just a minimalist, you can be a very active consumer. You just keep the things that you love and you might want to hold on to something because, oh my gosh, I spent a lot of money on this. But when I started to transition to purchasing more and more things secondhand, it just has become so much easier to let go of it.
Yes,
and think like, oh, someone else is going to use it. I don't need to hold on to it or feel that guilt of I spent $100 on this. Like, I don't want to get rid of it. Okay, no, well, first of all, you spend less money. Second of all, it's, like, better for the environment. And third of all, like, someone else can use it now. And it's just, And so, like, there's a secondhand kids shop. And, like, I was having a conversation with my friend talking about, you know, the possibility of having other kids. And I'm like, we should just look at the secondhand kids shop as like our storage locker. Like you can just buy another bouncer there. You can just buy another like set of 3-month clothing there. Like it's there.
And there's so many things that are swap and trades too. So you don't even have to do anything to do with money. So if you're done with your bouncer, then you can swap that for a high chair or you can swap that for something else and just do a trading bartering system instead. With other people. You don't have to always be spending money or putting value on it.
Yeah, and that's on my want-to-do list, is to do like a clothing swap or a kid's clothing swap. That sounds like so much fun.
I know.
I mean, they grow so fast.
I know.
So it sounds like something that seems like it would be very valuable to everyone who came.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that a low-waste or zero-waste lifestyle and minimalism suit each other just fine.
They really do, and I wouldn't have stumbled upon the low waste way of living if I hadn't decluttered. Like it was one had to come before the other, and it's not that way for everyone, but that was my journey. And I had to like get rid of everything that didn't bring value in my life to be able to focus on things that are important, you know?
Yeah.
And then you start to question, where did this come from, and why am I buying this wrapped in plastic? Like, you know, it just really opened my eyes. Clearing out the excess opened my eyes to where everything comes from.
Yeah, it allowed you to focus more because there were fewer toys in front of you. You could focus on the important things.
Like minimalism, it's just really focusing on owning things that bring you value, right? Yes. And questioning why before you buy something.
Yes.
And I think that zero waste is focusing on where things come from.
Yeah.
They can go hand in hand. They're two different things, but they really can coexist very nicely together.
So because you're focusing on what you're bringing into your life, what you're consuming with a very mindful way of looking at it, when you make a purchase, is it kind of a buy me once sort of thing? You can either do secondhand route, or if you are going to buy new, do you make the effort to shop ethically, shop sustainably, shop high quality so that you're only buying something once?
All of those options, like shopping ethically, sustainable fashion, all that, it's just really overwhelming to me. Like there's so many brands and options out there that are wonderful, but I'm just like, oh my God, there's too many options. It's like, it's going to take me forever to research and pick the right thing. So if I can buy it secondhand, it's like, oh, okay.
Please do.
Yeah. That's
Yes.
exactly what I try to do. I just try to buy things secondhand first.
Yes.
Because these things already exist. You're not using new resources to create them.
Mm-hmm.
So they're more affordable and everything that we've already talked about.
Yeah, I totally agree. So both ways of buying new things are a good avenue to take rather than buying something that's new but cheaply made and poorly made and is not built to last, is not done ethically. So don't go that route. That's the
Right.
middle route.
Right. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
and it has been a journey, and I feel like with every action I'm getting better. So I've been on this journey for 2 years, and the first year for me was just focus on like decluttering and owning things that bring me value and focusing more on experiences than new toys. Like we will go on a family trip. We will go to, we're part of this kids class drop-in. It's called Parachute.
Cool.
So we can drop into a pretend play place or drop into ballet class. And it's just been really fun. Have these new experiences with my kids. I mean, we'll go to the park. We'll just spend a lot of time outside.
That's awesome.
And they love it. And when my son, he's almost 5, he doesn't really ask me for new toys.
Ooh, cool.
He doesn't like. You want to know why? I think it's a number of things, but one of the things it's that we don't really go into stores that often anymore, which has been a big change. Like I said, I used to, like when I was younger, I would go shopping all the time, and like now we'll go into like the grocery store or the to buy food and so he understands how all that works, but he's not exposed to all of those like aisles and aisles of toys at Target because we just rarely go.
Right. And so I can remember growing up that we would go to Walmart, Zellers, Target, that sort of thing, and your parent would get all the things that they need in this department store, and, they knew where to find you if you were in the toy aisle, which was so handy as far as babysitting goes, because then I could spend 20 minutes just looking at the toys and my mom could get all of her shopping done. But at the same time, then I was at the end of the shopping trip asking for this, or can I have this, or can I have that? And being upset that I couldn't have that because that's not what we came to the store for. So when you're not going to department stores, then you're not necessarily exposing them to wanting all these toys.
And another reason I think that he doesn't ask for that many toys is that he doesn't watch a lot of TV, especially a lot of commercials. Like when he does, it's probably like a Netflix show or a movie, so that he isn't exposed to all that marketing that's aimed at kids. Like, you need this, you need that. And
yeah, it's something like a couple $1 billion annually that is spent on children's marketing. Like marketing right at children, which is
insane. I mean, they don't know any better, and they're just going to be like, yeah, I need that. You know? Like, it's... So if you can kind of remove that piece of the puzzle, if you can remove that from their lives and not have them exposed to it when they're little, I think it makes it a lot easier. And so now when I ask him, his 5-year-old birthday is coming up, and his grandparents ask him, so what do you want for your birthday? And he's like, I want 8 cupcakes, and I want mommy to make me a cake, and I want to go to the park. Like,
oh my gosh.
It's like so sweet. And he's like, I want to invite my friends, and he rattles off his friends' names. And like not once does he mention, like, I want this new toy. It's really sweet. Like, I feel like by doing this, by limiting this, I'm giving him the gift of, and both of my kids, my younger one is 2. So she's getting this. She's becoming more verbal. Yeah. But she's not
asking for stuff yet anyway. So
exactly. Yeah, I feel like I'm giving them a gift of simplicity, of like a more carefree childhood. They can just go outside and play and make mud pies and climb trees. And it warms my heart to know that this journey is helping them have happier childhoods.
Oh, totally. So I'm sure you face this similar problem that other minimalists experience, but other people giving gifts to you, to your children, bringing things into your home, what's that like? Negative, positive, any sort of feedback?
I think you just have to live by example and know that the first time around, people aren't going to take you seriously, when you're like, oh no, we don't want presents. Like, they're going to feel like they still need to bring a present. So a good thing to do is to create a list of things that they need, or things that a class that they want to take, you know, or my son is in swimming, like he needs new goggles. The things that are like, that are needs that you need to get regardless, and so that they feel like they can still give them something, or provide them with, you know, they really want to go to the zoo, like maybe you can have a special day with your grandkids and take them to the zoo.
That's awesome. Yeah.
So I think it's just living by example and giving other people grace and saying thank you.
Yeah.
So like if someone gives you a gift and you don't want it and you don't need it, say thank you and appreciate it, and know that once the gift is given, it served its purpose. So it's okay.
Marie Kondo.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yes, it served its purpose and you can do with it what you want. No, I mean Marie Kondo, she was the one who started my journey. I am going to her seminar in March to start the process of becoming a certified KonMari consultant so that I can help others in their simplicity journey.
That's a thing? That's cool.
Yeah, I'm really excited. And I hope to, this future venture, I hope to implement and incorporate low-waste routines. And I hope to teach that to other people when I help them simplify if they're interested.
Thank you. That is really exciting because when you said let it go instead of discard, I was like, yes, that is what we need. We don't want people just to fill garbage bags and add that to the landfill.
Absolutely. I see that and it like my stomach just hurts.
Yes.
Like that's not what this is about.
No.
It's about clearing ways so you can focus on what's important. But then you also need to think about how you are clearing these things away. Like they're not trash. The majority of things aren't trash. The majority of things like you can donate, you can rehome, you can sell.
Yeah.
I mean, I've become in the habit of selling things this past year on like different resale apps, and I was just looking at a balance. I'm like, oh my gosh, I made $350 just selling like old kids' clothes.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and so then I can use that to purchase them in the next size. So there's just a lot of avenues, like I said, donating and reselling and everything that you can use when you are decluttering. And you don't necessarily need to go out and purchase new things to replace everything that you decluttered. Like that's not what this is about.
Exactly.
It's not about buying new things. It's about making space.
And I think too that when people do something dramatic, I know that's part of the KonMari method, is to declutter all at once so that you have a clean space and you can start fresh. But if people have a habit or a lifestyle of bringing things into their homes mindlessly, then to just declutter all in one go doesn't break them of that habit. I feel like people have to go through the process of finding a home for each of their things so that they can learn to consume less before they're suddenly in an empty house and feel the need to fill it back up again.
Yeah, I think that something that I tell people is that when you are decluttering, one really important piece is to halt your purchases. Like, don't buy anything new that you really don't need. Like, of course, yes, you need food and you know, something will come up, but but really try to halt your purchases, and then you can really see what you have, because when you start to bring in stuff while you're decluttering, it just gets really confusing.
Yes.
So that would definitely be one piece of advice if anyone listening is starting their decluttering journey or want to start declutter, but don't buy anything new until you're done, until you can really, and you get to see if there's like holes in your closet, like, oh, I really wear the jeans a lot and I only have two pair, or I only have one pair, and you know, and really be mindful about what you need. Don't just fill it up because it's an empty space. Like, we have lots of cabinets and things in our home that are empty, and I love it. Like, I love having empty space. I love it. I'm like, okay, it's like, it makes me feel like calm. But,
that's nice. Yeah,
but that's just me.
Well, like, I find that I really like a full bookshelf. We were going to move cities, and so we had to really decide what's worth bringing with us, because like a moving day is a great time to declutter for sure. But we got rid of a full bookcase full of books, and then I realized that I didn't like the look of the back of the bookshelf because suddenly I could see it. So I've tucked whatever, like a little picture here, or I've turned a book so that it's facing out instead of just the spine facing out, and I've got less books on my shelf, but it still feels nice and full to me. Like I don't have to have too many books in there, but it's still, so do what you need to do to decorate your home so that it still feels like your space, but you don't have to have tons and tons of stuff to do it. You can do it tastefully.
Yeah, I found that adding plants where in a space where I feel like it's like kind of lacking some life, instead of adding some home decor trinket that is just going to go out of style quickly and then become junk. Like I've just started to add plants really gradually, and I love it. Like they bring a smile to my face, and they are good for your health. You know, they purify the air, and it's been a fun addition.
That's nice. You talked a little bit about sharing minimalism with your families, but you started Minimalist Mom. Was that kind of a way to keep yourself accountable or spread the news? What was your intention there?
I started it after the full year of decluttering, when I was starting my zero waste journey. I've been doing the zero waste journey for a year, a little over a year now. It's amazing how much has changed since I started. I think my stomach hurts thinking about how much trash we used to create.
Oh, I know, me too.
I'm like, oh my gosh. But don't feel bad about stuff that happened in the past. Like all you can do is change your habits for the future, and then feel good about what you're doing. Yeah. So I remind myself of that. As far as starting the blog, it was a way for me to connect with other like-minded people. Like I felt a little bit alone in my journey. I didn't have anyone really to talk to about besides my husband, but I didn't have other moms to talk to about this, especially the low waste side. I'm like, I don't know anyone else who does this. But it's when I started a compost, I was like, oh my gosh, well, what else can I do? What's next? Yeah. And it was through Instagram that I saw the connection of zero waste and minimalism. And so I kind of wanted to put what I'm learning out there so that I could help others and also learn from others, connect, build relationships. And it just really it blew up really fast. I was like, oh my gosh, there's something here. What? I don't know what it is, but I love sharing this journey and connecting with others.
And knowing you're not alone in all of this too.
Absolutely. There are other people like me. There are other people doing this. I'm not this one weird person.
Yeah. I'm not the only weirdo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's been really fun. And it also has helped me personally. It's become a passion of mine and a great creative outlet as a mom.
Totally.
And now it has led me on a path where I'm like, maybe I should jump into making this a part-time career where I can help others do this.
That's awesome.
So we'll see. We'll see how that goes. But it's just been a lot of fun to see how it has evolved. It's amazing when you can connect a passion, and your passion is also in a way giving back to others.
Yeah. Yeah. You feel like you're making a difference. That's nice.
Exactly. Yeah.
Is there anyone inspiring you lately in your minimalism journey?
There are so many wonderful people out there doing wonderful things. I love the book Simplicity Parenting.
Ooh, I haven't heard of that.
It's an older book. Maybe 10 years old, but it really, as far as the parenting piece, I just really connect with it. I like the account New Minimalism. They are a company that does what I hope to do. They connected minimalism and low waste, and they help people declutter. So both of those two right now are the ones that are kind of inspiring me. But there are so many out there.
And where can people find you online to learn more, to find your blog?
Mainly it's on Minimalist Mom on Instagram. Yeah. I am working more on my website. I took it down and I'm giving it a refresh, and soon it will be up and running, and I'll connect it to my Instagram page when it is up and running.
Perfect. That's great. Well, thanks, Amy. This was so good.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I love talking about this stuff.
I know, me too.
Hopefully I didn't ramble too much, but...
Oh, please. I'm the queen of rambling. I'm going to have to cut myself out.
It's really fun, and it's really fun to connect with like-minded individuals.
Totally. Yeah. I love that you're going to try and connect minimalism with zero waste, because I think that they just are meant for each other.
I agree.
Thanks again for listening, everyone. If you want to learn more from Amy, you can find her at minimalistamom.com or on Instagram at minimalistamom. If you liked today's episode, remember to leave a rating or review. I love being able to share these practical tips with more people every day. Find me on Instagram at Elspeth Callahan, and go ahead and give minimalism a try. I think everyone could discover a more meaningful life with less. Have a great week, everyone, and talk to you soon.